Morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Friday the 7th of February and welcome to this educational video about how to add technical analysis to your trading style and decision making. This is for educational purposes, as I said, and please be aware that it carries a risk to trade, especially leveraged products. Let's start with Eli Lilly today. Very strong a move yesterday, more than 3% higher, has confirmed bullish trend. There were some early warnings about that after bouncing from 725 area, where there has been some stronger support. Yeah, it tested a couple of times here back in November. Got up, back down here. Maybe we can just say we have a bit of a double bottom pattern here, and if so, we can say, well, we can kind of guesstimate where it could move to, and it already moved to 138.2 projection. There's now potential up to the peaks here in this region around 970 plus, possibly maybe a little bit lower. We do have some resistance in this region around 940, but medium term here you can see on the weekly very strong bounce, weekly back above the cloud, bullish trend now. It's being established, and if we get RSI on the weekly also above 60 threshold, it will be confirmed. You can see here on the daily it's already above that level, so fairly strong signal from the obesity drug maker, a strong competitor to Novo Nordisk. That is still struggling a little bit, but we can have a look at that at another time. The S&P 500, well, S&P 500, an interesting pattern. Moved up there, got knocked down, moved up again, got knocked down, gap down. Now it's trying to once again, and if it does close above this one here, and let's just add a horizontal line, so we have it there, and that's almost around the previous all-time high. I think we will take it out. Positive sentiment on the RSI, no divergence, and if RSI closes back above 60 threshold, then expect push higher above previous peak and towards 6,200. Still the key level towards this 5,900 as the key support. The Nasdaq 100 has now finally closed this gap here with a close above 21,738, and has reaffirmed the bullish trend above the cloud, positive sentiment, and if RSI closes back above 60 threshold, it further confirmed bullish trend, and I think then we'll see a push higher. You can actually see that there are some really strong resistance levels, but I think we're breaking above it, and we could see new all-time highs. Dow Jones had this bearish engulfing here. It needs to take out, meaning it needs to close above that level 45,055, 45,055, yes. And if it does that, well, then I think we'll see it towards 46,000. But it had a little bit of negative day yesterday, but still there's no divergence on the positive RSI, indicating likely higher levels. European market is really pushing higher. We have EuroStoxx50 new all-time highs, massive day yesterday, very strong move, and there is potential higher towards 5,400, approaching it fast, and I think we will reach that. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we can really see how it's taking off here, and yeah, maybe even 5,500, very strong bullish trend indeed. And to demolish that, it needs to really break back below the levels here around 5,170 level. Pre-market, not much to say, almost unchanged though. DAX index also new all-time highs. I think it will take out 22,000 fairly shortly. However, we can see that it is a little bit stressed because there is now a little bit of divergence starting to build up here on the RSI. The RSI values are a little bit lower than the previous one here, so there we have some divergence, but still trust the trend, and as long as we stay above, and let's just take one of these here because they're not really that interesting anymore, 21,250, then we are in the bullish trend. Euro dollar, let's zoom in here. Euro dollar, well, I would consider it being range bound, and it needs to take out 104.50. I have drawn it up here, and if it takes that one out, there's still this risk or chance that it could be knocked back down. If it slides lower and back below, we are actually a little bit below the cloud, but if it takes out 102.70, then expect a push lower to 101 and possibly lower. But let's see about that. If it can take out 104.50, then we could be looking at 105.30 level, maybe even 106. Sterling dollar, range bound. I'll say break out of this 125.50 and 123.60 for direction. Negative sentiment on the RSI points to lower levels, but you can see here that the moving average 55 is starts to flattening, so it is a little bit up there. I will wait for a breakout before I do anything if it was me. The euro sterling that bounced strongly, not all the way up to 61.8 retracement. If we get above that level and above 83.90, I will actually say 84, then I think we will resume bullish trend and a push higher. And let's just zoom out a little bit so we can see what's going on. RSI actually in a negative sentiment, but it's just marginal, but still it is. So we could see push low, but however, we are still above the cloud. Excuse me. We are still above the cloud. So technically in a positive sentiment. So it's a little bit blurry picture. And if we're looking at the bigger picture, we are actually in a long-term bearish trend there. Dollar yen, well, touched almost the 786 retracement here at 150.83. Just a few cents from it, a few pips from it, bouncing, but negative sentiment on the RSI and bearish trend indicating possibly lower levels. If it takes out the lows today, then I think we will see a push towards 148, 148.65 area in this region here. So we can also see the 55 moving average starting to decline, but the 100 still trying to drag it a little bit higher. So we could also be range bound here in this region, but we are below the cloud also, so negative on that front. Euro yen also a little bit bounced this morning. If it takes out the lows from today, then we are looking at 156 level. Negative sentiment, no divergence, indicating we could see lower levels. And if we're looking at the weekly, we can see we are in a bearish trend also on the weekly chart. Negative sentiment on the RSI. On the Aussie yen, well below the support there at 95.50. Trying to get back above, but we are in a bearish trend. We could see it dip to 93.65, but let's see. But all moving averages are declining now, and we are below there. And weekly bearish trend and negative sentiment on the RSI pointing to lower levels on the Aussie yen. Sterling yen bouncing from 188, just dipped to just below it. If it takes out the lows today, well, then we are looking at levels in the region of 185, 183.70, where we have some support in this region here. But I think we could bounce a little bit, maybe trying to get back above 190, but I'm not sure it will succeed. Native sentiment on the RSI supporting further decline, but still some strong resistance support here around 188. Aussie dollar, strong bounce after touching the falling trend line there, after it broke out there, then it's testing from the other side. Still struggling to get higher up than the 786 retracement and the 55 moving average. If it can get back above and close above 63.30, well then we will be establishing a bullish trend. I think that will also result in the RSI closing above 60 threshold, and then suddenly then there's potential up to the 64 and 64 and a quarter level. If it can't do that and start sliding back here below the 62 level or back below here in this region, just below the 61.8 retracement, bearish trend is set to resume. Dollar Canada hasn't really done much. Still key support here at 142.70 area, 75. Needs to stay above that, and I'll actually adjust this a little bit, see in this region here around 142.70, 142.60. If it takes out that, well, then we're looking at 141. Otherwise, we could bounce. We're still above the cloud, still positive sentiment, but there is divergence. But if it gets back above 60 threshold, then we are back in bullish sentiment or positive sentiment. Sterling Canada touched the 61.8 retracement, 177.45, bounced, and we could see it bouncing higher towards the 179, maybe even 179.20, 25. If it can get it back above that, well, then it could resume bullish trend, and that will also probably result in RSI back above 60 threshold. It's already showing positive sentiment, so we could see that push. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, then we're looking at 176.18 area. Euro Swiss is a little bit hard to read, but we are above the cloud. We are in a positive sentiment. No divergence whatsoever. We bounced from 40 threshold, and we bounced from the support area here at 93.39 area, and we are above all moving averages. They are flat though, but it seems like we are starting to crawl higher, and I think we could push higher here in the coming days. Well, not over the weekend, but today going into next week. If we add Fibonacci to that, well, we can see it crawl higher. Could be a little bit of struggle around 94.50, where there can be some resistance. Strongest one though will be 786 retracement at 94.80, where we have the 200 moving average coming down. Dollar Swiss, that has been showing massive volatility lately. All right, here it dipped almost to the 55 moving average, just a little bit below the 786 retracement, and then bounced. If it can get back above 91.29 in this area here, then uptrend has resumed. Still positive sentiment, but there's been divergence for quite some time. If it takes out the lows here from the other day at 90, well, then we can see a push down to 89.65, maybe a little bit lower. The dollar index also, let's zoom in here, spiked below the 786 retracement, and in this region, if it takes out the level from here, low level of 107.16, well, we could see a push down to 106.40 level. If it can get back above the 108.36, then I think uptrend will resume. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, hasn't closed below 40, and we are above the cloud, so there is a chance doing that, but expect a little bit range bound trading here going into next week. Gold setting back a little bit yesterday, but still a very strong uptrend. There's no divergence on the RSI. No, there's not. Could push higher, but we are a little bit stressed. We haven't seen such a strong move for quite some time. However, there is potential higher above 2,900, which will be then approaching 200% of the 100% of the triangle top to bottom move here. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, I think there's also potential higher. We can see here there is divergence on the RSI, but trust the trend, and I think we'll push higher in the coming days and weeks. There will be corrections, make no mistakes about that. On the silver, currently testing resistance here at around 32, 35, 32 and a half, really trying to push higher, and I think it will. There's positive sentiment on the RSI, and likely to push higher also on the weekly, indicating higher levels. Also really strong move, closed above 447, currently pushing higher, and there's now room up to the 466, 470, maybe even 475 level, and then the weekly chart also tells us that bullish move, positive sentiment. We are in for a strong bullish move as long as we stay above 418. The Brent crude oil, well, below the 786 retracement. I actually did expect a little bit of a bounce, but it seems like bears are really in control, or sellers are in control. I think we will drop below the cloud area here. We are below all moving averages. and it will take a move above 75.15 on WTI to establish or re-establish the bullish trend, and I don't really see that at the moment. And if you're looking at the weekly, we can see how it got rejected up here, and then it has resumed downtrend. Negative sentiment on the RSI indicating that we will slide lower in the coming weeks. We have the Brent crude oil. Still keeping itself above the 786 retracement at 74.25. If it takes out the lows from yesterday, I expect a push lower towards 72 area, and here we also in a negative trend and sentiment. The Dutch TTF gas that spiked higher yesterday, we can see it spiked almost up to the peak here back from when was that, October 2023. Still in a bullish trend. We could still see a push higher, but we are a little bit stressed at the moment. On the US nat gas, Henry Hub gas bouncing, I think we'll see it touching 350 shortly. If it's being rejected, then it will slide back lower below 3.25. If it can get back above, well, then maybe there is a chance for it to push higher. It would not be good for American consumers, but we'll see about that. US 10-year Treasury yield, well, the shoulder-like pattern is unfolding. We got almost down to the 138 projection, and the 61.8 retracement of the uptrend here at 438. I still think we could do that, and we have negative sentiment on the RSI. However, if we start crawling back above 450, maybe then that was it really. However, if it takes out 438, there's risk down to 131.25. And if we're looking at the weekly chart, we're still in a bullish trend, higher high, higher low, higher high, and it may be just going to test the upper falling trend line. So that will be key to watch in the coming days and weeks. The two-year, and let's zoom in, still 415. That is key support to keep an eye on. And moving on to the European yields, well, it seems like we were having, seems like we are finding some solid base here above the 55 moving average and around this falling trend line there, and could bounce. If it start bouncing above 240, then I think the Euro 10-year will start trading slowly, not establishing a bullish trend, but bouncing back. The UK 10, a strong move after dipping lower yesterday, strong end to the session, and we are now back back above 447. And if we get back above 450, 455, then a bullish trend could be established. What I will do, I will add a Fibonacci and say maybe this could help me a little bit, and say, well, maybe there is some potential up to 460 area. And finally, Bitcoin, well, not doing much. We are below the 55 moving average, so it's a little bit bearish. Still positive sentiment on the RSI, but since there's not a real close on it, it's not that strong a signal really. I would say we are below the 55, a little bit negative, but still a 90,000 key support area. Ethereum still in this range here around 2,700, 2,800 with a negative tone. Really needs to get back above 3,000 to at least trying to establish a bullish trend. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and a nice weekend when you get to that. See you Monday.